mid-August and I've just been having a scoot around the nursery just to have a look at what's looking really good, and I thought I'd share some of that with you. Now, as you can see, the nursery is packed with colour at the minute. A lot of herbaceous plants in your garden might be starting to fade, and if that's the case, then some of these are just what you need to sort of pick up the action again. So this is a little aster. Well, it was formerly an aster. The people in the know like to reclassify plants every so often, and they've changed this one from the lovely name of aster to Eurybia. And it's Eurybia hervii. It's actually one of the earlier flowering asters, and as you can see, it's also, I should say, mildew resistant, and that's really important when it comes to asters because a lot of them get riddled with the stuff, and they can look really tatty at the end, so that's really important. It's a lovely one. It'll carry on flowering for ages. You can see all these new buds just starting to come through. Penstemons are probably one of my favourite plant groups, and as you can see, this is no exception. This one is called Penstemon White Bedder, and I like it because the flowers are sort of bigger and fatter than your average Penstemon. The buds often have a pink flush to them as they're starting to open. You can just see it here perhaps, which is really pretty, and yeah, this will just carry on well into autumn if it's dead-headed, which just means picking off these spent flowers at the bottom of the spike. But that'll just keep on flowering, and this spike gets longer and longer, and as you can see there's still loads of buds still forming on that. I've got a lobelia here. This one's called Hadspin Purple, and what I love about this is the colour. It's fantastic, and if you've got lots of other soft colours, then this just really adds a bit of oomph to the colour scheme. And yeah, long spikes again opening from the base, and these will just carry on. They don't get particularly tall, but they are real wow factor type plants when they're planted in a clump or just drifted through the border, pretty much like I've done here in the trolley. This is Anemone September Charm. It's probably one of the earlier flowering Japanese anemones, and I really love it because it's sort of, if you can see the reverse, it's got this beautiful dark colouring on the reverse, and yet the inside is really soft and silvery. And again, this one will go on, you know, well into the autumn as well, so it's great for adding a bit of late colour. I should say at the back, because going back to this lobelia, this is another lobelia. Now, love it or hate it, it's a bit like a Marmite type affair, this one. But you can't ignore it, that's for sure. It's got these scarlet flowers, and they're quite big flowers as well. And then this sort of red, beetrooty, flushed foliage. Now, you can't help but be impressed by it, and it's great if you've got a jungle style planting scheme. Goes really well with bold foliage, also goes really well with hot theme borders, so all the golds and oranges, but it is a real show-off. If you like plants a little bit more subdued, then maybe this agastache is the sort of thing you like. Bees certainly love it, and the foliage is aromatic. It's sort of got a bit of a pepperminty smell when you just sort of brush it, and it's got these long, it's quite a prolific bloomer, so lots of these spikes, and they get a bit taller as well as they get older, so They don't get massively big, but they're long lasting as well, so they will last for ages. Now finally, this might not look like much in the pot, but believe me, this is one of my all-time favorites. It's Geranium rosin, and I think if I only was allowed to grow one relatively low growing plant in the garden, it would be this one. It forms a sort of scarpering mound, loose mound of lovely foliage. You can't see it here because it's not quite mature enough, but it's slightly mottled variegated foliage, and it flowers. I mean, mine has been flowering, I'd say, since the end of May, and it will continue until October. And even when it's not in flower, it does die back about November time, dies back from say November or even December to about April, early May, and then the foliage is really nice. And what I like about it as well is it sort of intermingles really nicely with its neighbours. It doesn't sort of take over completely. It's got quite long, slender stems which weave their way through other planting, and it's really nice. So Geranium rosin definitely gets a thumbs up, and in fact the RHS, I think in 2013, voted it Plant of the Centenary, so it's a definite must-have. Anyway, that's just a quick rundown on what's looking good.